The Cliff by me, Jordan Bailey, Part 1. One day, a young boy was exploring a dense wood when he found himself atop a steep cliff. It was not a dangerous cliff, and he could surely climb down and be all right. However, if he went to the bottom, he knew for certain he'd never get back up. That thought scared him, so he decided never to even gaze at the bottom. Despite this, he loved this spot more than anything. It was a space of comfort for him. He would come here to think, to listen to music, to unwind. Every time he went to that cliff, a question popped into his brain. What was at the bottom? Every time he would push the thoughts away. He could never do that, or he wouldn't come back. Besides, he wasn't the type anyway. He was never that athletic or rugged, and he didn't much care for attempting to be. The curiosity never left him, though. So he came up with a game to train himself not to look. He would face the cliff looking straight out into the horizon, and walk as close as he could to the edge. He never looked down, for there was nothing to see. Eventually the boy grew and visited the cliffside less and less, but he never forgot. On the contrary, the longer it had been since he last visited the cliff, the more he grew to think of it. It was true that he missed his time lazing about by its sheer drop, but it was more than nostalgia. The question kept nagging at him. What was at the bottom? This curiosity grew into an obsession, with the boy waging mental war to quell the inquiry. The resistance only made his curiosity grow. More than simple curiosity, he felt that there was something there for him. Something he couldn't get where he was. Not necessarily an item, but something. Something he couldn't understand. Something he felt like he needed. No, he told himself. There's nothing down there for me. I talk with people I've met who say they've been down there, but that's them. I'm just me. I don't have what it takes. Besides, I know the rumors. You go down there, you don't come back. Not the same, anyway. Not quite you. You grow into something unrecognizable, unfit for a life like mine. It would be me, alone in the dark, with nothing but my intuition. I can't handle that. I'd never be able to handle that. It's safer up here. It's clearer up here. It's warmer up here. I belong up here. Part 2. At least for a while, he felt as though he had properly quelled the curiosity. The thoughts of the cliff stopped coming, and he felt at peace for a time. One night, as he was drifting off, he heard a distant rumble growing, then a sharp creak from above him, barely audible. Almost instinctually, he ducked out of the way before his ceiling collapsed on top of his now vacant bed. Hyperventilating, the boy sprinted out of his apartment into the night, met on all sides by dense foliage. He pulled out his phone and tried to call one of his closest friends, but it went straight to voicemail. "Hi, sorry, I'm really busy. Please call back soon." Tears began to form in his eyes. He felt a growing presence behind him. A dark cloud with the percussive force of a Sherman roared as he sprinted faster and his legs grew more and more weary. He did not know where he was going. He just knew he had to keep going, no matter what. The dark cloud gained on him, and the ground shook underneath his bare feet as the roar of the darkness threatened to consume him. The faster he ran, the faster it felt like the cloud moved, and the more the pain in his muscles grew. The foliage grew denser and thicker and more difficult to navigate, and the path he was following had been completely swallowed into the nature he was blindly charging into. He felt the clouds nipping at his heel, crawling up his leg, coiling around his body. Then, everything went silent. Part 3. The boy stumbled into a clearing, the cloud nowhere in sight. He didn't understand what was going on. He was scared, covered in dirt, and completely alone. Something stirred within his mind. This clearing was familiar. He felt that familiar pang of nostalgia he had worked so hard to suppress. As he looked up, he recognized that cliff edge from before. Somehow, some way, he had found his way back. Pure instinct, divine intervention, or complete accident did not matter to him. He walked up to the edge of the cliff, his muscle memory pulling his eyes to the horizon. The questions filled his mind. Should I look down? What do I have to lose? What will my girlfriend think? What will my mother think? The boy stepped backward and closed his eyes tight. His heart beat faster and faster, outpacing itself from the recent chase. The feelings of fear and doubt were locked in battle with the conviction that there was something to be seen down there. It was him, alone in the dark, with nothing but his intuition. He felt the glow of the sunrise slowly warm his cold and bloodied skin. He took a deep breath, walked up to the cliff edge, and looked down. At first, he saw nothing, simply inky blackness extending for as far as he could see. Then, just below him, a small light shone in the depths. The boy squinted. Although the light itself was small, the boy could pick up on the subtle changes in hue, from a deep blue to a brilliant white, to a pale magenta, to a bloody red, to a warm yellow, almost imperceptibly. The boy's eyes widened. Slowly, taking as much care as he could, he began to scale down the cliff. Part 4. As your vision focused, you rose up from the cold ground. Your nose was filled with night air as a gust of wind blew back against you. Pitch darkness with no end in sight. You moved your hand in front of your face, and the pitch black did not waver. You went to clasp your hands together, only to never feel any contact. It was almost as if your hands were passing through one another, as though they weren't there at all. You turned around to try to climb back up, but there was no cliff face. All of the curiosity, the fear, the worry, the excitement was for absolutely nothing. You were trapped in the knowledge that at the base of all you held dear was absolutely nothing of substance. You thought of the person you would have become if you had simply stayed the course. If you had walked back and done what you needed to do, then you would still have everything you already had. Now, you had nothing. It was you, alone in the dark, with nothing but your intuition. Never in your life had you experienced the emotions that surged through you in that moment. You panicked, you reached for your phone to call someone, to talk to anyone. But there was no phone, because there was no you. As you felt, the emotions gave way to sensation. The inky blackness began to tint red. The tint grew and grew until pure, rageful red was all that enveloped your perspective. Then the sorrow, the pain of what could never be and what you had abandoned for this farce. The red shifted into a pale blue, deeper, deeper, yet deeper, until it was a deep, melancholy purple. Envy, green, jealousy, yellow. More and more emotions swirled within your being, a cacophony of hue filling the infinite nothing. You began to pick out shapes in the shifting hues. These shapes swirled and danced like phosphenes, exploding into colors you never even imagined. Then, in a single instant, the colors were condensed into a single infinitesimal point. You. Part 5. The colors expand to fill the space, shaping fingers, a hand, an arm, a leg, your torso, your face. The colors, ever shifting, ever glowing, ever dimming, become so numerous that they blend together, creating a single pigment. The pigment then grows variation, forming pores, freckles, hair. You look closely, observing the still shifting colors approximating your body. Slowly, they all begin to reflect a deep, pale magenta. You look into the distance. Shapes that are not your own take form. Some are playful, others are standoffish, others still are vengeful, but all are unique, made of the same creation as you. You bask in their presence as they swirl around you. You feel their love, their kinship, their hardship, their friendship. You feel the adoration they have for each other, for you, for this. It is you, all of you, together in the light, with nothing but your intuition. You focus on your feelings, and the blackness that surrounds you is filled with your color, not yours alone, but yours. The color changes. It shapes itself into a familiar clearing, bookended by a cliff. Though the setting is nearly identical, it is made of wild and free explosions of multicolored feeling, rather than dirt and grass and carbon. Raw sensation courses through you, shifting the very ground upon which you tread. Joy and euphoria swell within you. The hues begin to warm, the cooler colors take a back seat. Not vanishing, just receding. You do not feel your practiced muscle memory pulling your eyes to the horizon. You do not see the brilliant sunset accented with pink and gold, yellow and orange. You do not need to. You feel it, shining within you. You walk to the edge of the cliff as you had done so many times prior. You take a deep breath, close your eyes, and jump. The end.